Hey, welcome to ScreenCrush. I'm Ryan Airy, and today we are watching and breaking down the second trailer for Andor. So, a little bit of background on this before we start. I don't do reaction videos very often. You always get copyright notices, things like that, but I want to watch this one live and just kind of give you my impressions of it as we're going. It's kind of like the first stage I normally do when I write an Easter egg video. I have not watched the full trailer through, but when I was doing this setup to screen record and everything, I did see a few characters. So if I'm not going, oh my God, when I see a character, then it's because I'm not going to fake it. And I've just already seen a couple reveals that I kind of figured were going to be in the show anyways. So I'm really excited about this show. At first, when they first announced it, I thought, well, who needs an Andor prequel because he died in Rogue One? But the more I'm looking at it, the more I'm seeing the first trailer, I'm getting really pumped about this show. And I think it's actually going to be the big surprise hit of the year. Everybody thought it was going to be Obi-Wan or Boba Fett. I think this is going to be the Star Wars that we talk about. So let's take a look at this trailer and we're going to break it down and react for you. Here we go. Go. Awesome. Oh, okay. I think we saw a bit of this in the first trailer. These are rebel partisans, and what this is great is it's showing us how impossible it was to rebel against the Empire, like back in the day. See, when we first started watching, New Hope back years ago, the rebellion was already a thing. I mean, they were small and they were in this cat and mouse game, but they had a base, they had ships, they had fighters, but they still had capital ships off somewhere. And they were an organized military effort against the Empire. The cool thing about shows like Rebels, which is not my favorite Star Wars show, but it did do this really well, is it showed how the rebellion was really just small cells of people on different planets who didn't like the Empire. And the first job of the rebellion was to kind of join these different cells together. But Rebels, it's an animated show. It's mostly for kids, so you never really feel like the protagonists were in that much danger, everyone, they always had a victory against the Empire. This is cool, because this is you see these people that are just totally scrappy, with gear, this bike that this woman's next to is just looks like it was cobbled together from other parts. They're living in huts. And coolest of all, they're filming what looks like in real locations. If this is in the volume, I would be shocked. It looks like they actually went just out to Montana somewhere or New Zealand, and they started to film there. And then you see the Star Destroyer come overhead, which is just massive. And that's the other thing too, in the movies, you rarely get a sense of scale for how big these things are. You'll have a character mentioning how big something is.
That's no moon. It's a space station.
But these ships were enormous, and they were everywhere across the galaxy. So this is what these guys are up against. And weird thing about this trailer is, because it's for a new show, they're going to keep showing characters. I don't know who they are, and I'm not going to try to guess. It's pretty easy to tell who's a good guy, who's a bad guy, because the bad guys always have really clean, neatly pressed uniforms, and the good guys are always just wearing thrift store shopping stuff. Anyways. Go.
To steal from the Empire? To just walk in like you belong?
All right, cool. Young kid going through here. I'm going to guess that might be a young Andor. We might be seeing something here that's from the prequel era, where he is breaking into different facilities in early Imperial days. This to me looks like a rock quarry where they're doing some kind of mining. As for what they're mining, there's so many different minerals in Star Wars that are valuable. Everybody seems to go back to Kyber because the Empire was harvesting Kyber crystals to build the Death Star laser. But there's Dunium, which is really big in the Thrawn novels, things like that. So this kid is on a planet. He's probably Diego Luna. He's probably Andor as a child. He's on this planet. He's watching the Empire strip mine it for all its resources, which is also cool because when we see the Empire in the movies, we get we know they're bad guys. Darth Vader's the leader, but we rarely get to see on the ground how they were actually hurting the people on every planet. In the novels, they go into a lot of detail about that, especially the Thrawn novels. But here we're going to actually get to see it firsthand for the first time. Go. Oh, cool.
So
all right.
Themselves. So fat and satisfied.
All those neatly pressed uniforms I was talking about. So this is going to sound, I bet a lot of you aren't going to agree with this. One of the things I'm most excited for about on this show is the the politics. Like, I actually love the politics of the Phantom Menace. I'm a big like nut for like Asimov Foundation kind of like space politics. So I'm really very happy we're going to see some of the space politics in this and Mon Mothma and stuff. So we can see like how that organization was founded, how the rebellion was like funded like through secret back channels in the Empire. And it's cool too. I don't know who the character is yet, but Qyburn from Game of Thrones is playing this dude who's wearing an ISB uniform. So the ISB stands for Imperial Security Bureau. They always wear these white uniforms. They are like the most feared people in the Empire because they're the ones who can take down officers, admirals, anybody who doesn't have the right political connections to like keep them, to keep you in power. This dude was like so evil in Game of Thrones, and I think casting him as an ISB officer is perfect because with the ISB, we need to get the feeling that like everybody's afraid of these guys. Like even Orson Krennic and Moff Tarkin. Well, maybe not Tarkin because he's like a real muckety muck. But all these people were scared of being contacted by the ISB because the Emperor built his organization on fear. That was the whole point. Like everybody was afraid of him. Vader was afraid of him. Everybody was afraid of Vader, and it went on down the line into that kind of Sith pyramid structure that their holocrons are shaped like. Anyways, long way to say I'm excited about this.
So fat and satisfied.
There's everybody's pressed uniforms.
That someone like me would ever get inside their house.
Yeah, okay, so I'm willing to bet 100% now the kid is Diego Luna's character. It's Andor when he's young. I like that he's wearing like all this really native stuff. You can tell like his people, if they're not necessarily like primitive, they are poor. And he is like having to build his own shoes from like animals they find and stuff like that. And then we see him here with these Imperial officers. I don't know if he's infiltrating them or if this is like maybe just the police. I think it would be cooler if this was like local Imperial police that he was actually a part of, and if the series was like a little bit more about him being recruited to like join the rebellion. If he's like this poor kid grew up on this planet, Empire comes in, he's like great, a steady job, and maybe he's like a beat cop that sees some stuff that he's not really cool with, and so maybe we see him like start to go off and like help form the rebellion or something later on. Let's take a look. Go.
Cassian Andor.
Ah, okay, Stellan Skarsgård.
Us so slowly.
Uh-huh.
We're starting not to notice.
Okay, well there you go. It sounds like Stellan Skarsgård's character is recruiting Andor to join. Just gonna like go back here. Yeah, we've got a few characters. The blonde woman, she's also in an ISB uniform, clearly a baddie, and she's got death troopers with her. These are the stormtroopers who are like elite. They're the ones who actually don't miss, that Orson Krennic had with him in Rogue One. So there's kind of like a visual connection. Like even if you're not like super familiar with all the Star Wars lore, but you've seen Rogue One, you'll be like, oh, okay, bad guy, white uniform, black stormtroopers, I get it, right? Very cool. I hope we actually get to see these guys be badasses, the death troopers, because you know, stormtroopers are like cannon fodder and stuff, and in the Clone Wars, the clones got to be kind of tough, but we never actually get to see stormtroopers being like awesome at their job, and I'd like to see that here.
We're starting not to notice.
Uh-huh.
What I'm asking is this. Wouldn't you...
Okay, Andor on a scrapyard planet. Oh, this is embarrassing, and I cannot remember the name of the scrapyard planet from Fallen Order, and that's embarrassing, and you're gonna let me know what it is in the comments. Could be there. I kind of hope that's not where he's at, because I'm really tired of there being like one desert planet in Star Wars. There's one scrapyard planet in Star Wars. It would be cool if like he was going to other planets, maybe trying to recruit people or to get different gear so they can start to like scuttle together their different ships and things. Anyways.
What I'm asking is this. Wouldn't you rather give it all to something real?
Okay, yeah. I'm really liking these titles, like how they're just in like cracks, like it's the foundation of the Empire that's starting to crack. That's pretty neat. Streaming September 20. Oh, they moved it. Okay, it's no longer on August 31st.
I need all the heroes I can get.
Okay. Okay, now.
For the greater good.
Call it what you will.
Let's call it war.
All right, Saw Gerrera. So this is one of the things that I accidentally saw earlier, so I can't pretend that I didn't see. So just scrubbing back here, looking at Saw Gerrera, the guy outside was one of his partisans from Rogue One. Species starts with a T. Togron, something like that. And he's holding what looks like a cycler rifle, like the Sand People use, which is interesting because that is a technology that is not very high end. So we're seeing like how scrappy they have to be, like getting stuff together. And speaking of scrap, that is one of those ships. It's a proto X-wing called a Z1 Headhunter. It's really cool. I think we've only ever seen those in video games. I don't think they appeared in any of the movies. They're in Rebels though. But this is our first live action look at one of those. I think one of them might have been in Rogue One. But that's really cool because we're seeing Saul like kind of get these people together for the first time.
For the greater good.
And then, yep, Saul comes out. What does he say to him?
Call it what you will.
Let's call it war.
Yeah, okay. So, Saul Guerrero, one of the most underused character in Rogue One, by far. He's a cool character because we actually saw his history in the Clone Wars when he was like more idealistic and his sister died. And then in Rebels, we get this look at him where he's the first rebel to like really break off and be violent against the Empire. Like when the rebellion forms into like an organized body with leadership, in Rogue One, they talk about how Saul Guerrero is too extreme for us. And I was always disappointed that he was killed off so quickly in Rogue One. I thought they could have done a lot more with that, like showing him as part of that Dirty Dozen type and have him actually die on the planet. Here, he's not limping yet. He's still got like both legs, and he says, we're going to war. And this is actually kind of revolutionary for the rebellion at this point, because right now, they're trying to like, you know, be a pest to the Empire. Maybe they want the Empire less involved on their small individual planets. Mon Mothma, at this point, is just trying to like change the Empire from within. Maybe. There was this like deleted scene, Revenge of the Sith, where she and Jimmy Smits and Amidala are talking, and they're like,
they know where the power lies, and they will do whatever it takes to share in it.
We have decided to do what we can to stop it. Senator Mon Mothma and I are putting together an organization.
Say
in
no
which...
more, Senator. I understand.
So you see in that clip that like it's deleted, but I think it's still canon because they cast that same actress to play Mon Mothma in Rogue One and the show and stuff. But that's when they were sort of starting to go like, okay, so what's going on? Can we like maybe start to talk about a rebellion? Maybe we'll see those conversations explored in this show. This is like Imperial Police. I think this is local police. You can see they have one of those like Imperial samurai helmets, like SWAT team shields, because they're going to go up against the natives. This, I'm going to say, was definitely filmed in the volume, but it looks awesome. Oh, cool. Okay, so you got a rider. Looks like old Republic transports. Maybe the Empire used similar shaped transports. I can't remember off the top of my head. Going into a planet.
Fermenting out there, son. Pockets of fermenting.
All right, lots of characters we don't know their names of yet. You got people in fancy uniforms in blue. I'm also going to guess these are like local police on the planet that like work for the Empire. They're people who are local to the planet who the Empire has hired, kind of like in Nazi-occupied France. There were like French people that the Nazis hired to like be their police, and a lot of the locals, you know, resented that for obvious reasons. And we might be seeing the same kind of thing here. These are the same kind of uniforms, actually, that Andor was wearing earlier on. So that earlier theory makes sense that he is one of these police at the beginning, or maybe he's infiltrated them. Okay, we got these guys working on the scrapyard. Scrapyard might actually be his home planet. Like maybe it was this lush, beautiful place we see at the beginning of the trailer. And then they come in and they like carve it out into like the rock quarries. And now all the locals are just like forced to work on scrap for the Empire. Awesome. Elevators. Okay, there's a shuttle landing on what might be that desolate industrial district of Coruscant that I can't remember the name of right now that we first saw in Attack of the Clones. If that's the case, okay, we don't see who's in that shuttle, but it'd be interesting if this like industrial area that's like not as well populated, if that is where the rebellion is starting on Coruscant. Because that is obviously where like Darth Sidious had his headquarters at the end of Attack of the Clones. So in a way, Sidious started the first rebellion, the Separatists, to rebel against the Republic and form the Empire. And now the rebellion could be starting like in the same area, but to overthrow Palpatine. Okay.
Are you a fish? Or are you a thief?
Okay, so we have an ISB agent, blonde woman, don't know her name yet. Looks like she's going to be the heavy, like the on-the-ground heavy. Maybe Qyburn's going to be like her boss. And she's interrogating this woman.
You're slipping.
Oh, that's cool. All right, wait a minute. Stellan Skarsgård, earlier in the trailer, he's wearing like poor guy clothes. He's got short hair. Here, he's got long hair, and he is a senator, or he's important somehow. He's got a young woman with him, might be his daughter. Maybe the Empire kills his daughter. That's what fuels him. And he's on Coruscant, and he's greeting Mon Mothma like she's an old friend. Very cool. So this is telling us that he most likely was part of this power structure. For some reason had to turn against them, or he was caught, or whatever, and now he's on the run trying to organize a rebellion, maybe in conjunction with Mon Mothma. See, we're going to see this is interesting because we're going to see the rebellion form from many different levels. You know, you got this like the people who are just the fighters, like Saw Gerrera, like kill as many of them as you can. You got people like Andor, who maybe is part of the local police, and it's kind of more like Ezra in Rebels, where he's a local who's being pulled into this conflict. And then the part, like I said, I'm most excited about is the politics with Mon Mothma. So another pretty major question I have about this show is if Ahsoka Tano is going to show up. Remember, she survived Order 66, and she was on the run for a while, and there's like some canon novel stuff, and we'll have to go over again. But then she was one of the earliest people to organize all these different Rebel cells into one cohesive group. It was a big reveal at the end of Rebels Season 1.
Fulcrum. Ahsoka. My name is Ahsoka Tano.
Now, just prior to New Hope, she was in a fight with Darth Vader and disappeared in time for a while, came back. It's a long story. Point is, at this point, she is active, and we might even get to see how she came out of hiding and started to be one of these early rebel leaders who established the Alliance. Let's take a look.
I'm not slipping. I've just been hiding for too long.
So Stellan Skarsgård is going to be like a big character in this. He's in the ship, he's going around, he's like the boots on the ground guy. Oh, cool. TIE bomber versus TIE fighter, and what shot it down? I don't know the ship that just shot down that TIE bomber, but that's pretty awesome. Wow, man, these shots of Coruscant look great. They're like, you know, like in the prequel trilogy, a lot of the shots of Coruscant were just like these aerials, and it was beautiful. But this is treating Coruscant like it's a real city. Like they're like, okay, well, if we were going to film a real city these days, we would use a drone. So they've got this like drone shot sweeping through.
As long as everyone thinks I'm an irritation, there's a good chance they'll miss what I'm really doing.
What are you really doing?
Ah, it's going to be the best. I can't wait. I love the Mon Mothma stuff. I'm sorry, but like she's the thing I'm most excited for in this show. She says, everybody thinks I'm an irritation. It's a hideout. It's hiding what I'm really doing. So she's already into this. She's not like trying to change the Empire from the inside out. She is like already starting to like be that visionary leader and see the rebellion that could form. And like she's starting to think, how can we not only like disrupt the Empire, but replace it with the Republic? Actually, if you think about it, she is one of the bravest people in the original movies because she was right there inside the Imperial power structure, right under Palpatine's nose, probably having meetings with him, trying to like mask her feelings and stuff. And Palpatine is, you know, is a telepath, all this stuff. He could sense everything. Like, and she just stuck with it and like did this. We got Dark Troopers coming into a place. Looks like we're actually going to get to see them do something. Oh, old lady crying, droid.
This is what revolution looks like.
Cool.
I'm tired of losing.
Cool. Cool. All right. So like the last trailer, lots of action shots, lots of people running in places and locations we don't know yet, and I'm not going to try to guess what they are. But we do have this sweet shot of a bunch of people in white running through a hallway that I think is could be Imperial training because they how are they running? They are. No, they're not marching. Okay, it's a prison. So at some point, Andor gets put in prison, and maybe intentionally, like in Ready Player One. All right, we got a dude with 4 arms operating on characters we don't know in a place we don't know. I'm not going to try to break that down. It's pretty cool, though. He actually, I don't know his species. He looks like the same one as Maz Kanata, but he's not. It's just the glasses. I think they're throwing me off. Anyways. Awesome. Oh, okay. Wait, there's people with... This looks like it's where that kid grew up. The people we saw at the beginning. This woman's got like a weapon. It's almost like a modified bow staff, like what Rey carries. Oh, anyways. Sorry. That's what I do. I always will hone in on one thing, way too much, that's not even important. Like, what kind of staff? Look at her clothes. Let's go back and look at the knit she's wearing, see if it matches the people from earlier, when you don't care. So let's just move on. Okay, wait a minute. There's a TIE fighter in a fight with unseen forces. Okay, I thought maybe a TIE fighter was shooting another TIE fighter. And Diego Luna's in the ship. They're probably fired at him because the sky outside looks the same. Andor. So, overall impression of the trailer, like I said before, I think it looks great. This one looks even better than the last one. We got a few more character introductions. I think they're deliberately just sort of peppering in people we've seen and teasing the other things. It's not a show that's gonna I don't even know if many people are gonna watch this video, because it's not a show that everybody's super hyped to watch right now. But I think this is going to be a key show for understanding kind of this in-between stuff. We've seen Rogue One, which is directly before A New Hope. We've seen Rebels. And my disappointment with Rebels was always that the scope was so small, that it was literally just this one little planet, this one little cell of people, and one of them just happened to be a Jedi who met another Jedi, which is another criticism I always had of the show. But I always wanted to see a rebellion show that had a wider scope. That, where we would see people on other planets and see this person who interacted with that person that maybe was called back to this small-time character in a book, or this side character in a movie or something. So I think we're getting that with this show. It's actually giving us the Star Wars story that we didn't know that we wanted. Even though this era between the trilogies is getting really well mined, this also, we have a chance here to see characters maybe from Obi-Wan. Like the dude who Obi-Wan was like, we need leaders and you could be a leader. He'll probably pop up in this show.
There are not many leaders left. People follow you. Don't stop.
We'll probably see characters from the Bad Batch pop up in this show. This is going to be the serious connective tissue that links what came before and after. And it's not just a prequel series to Rogue One. By its nature, it's a prequel series to the entire original trilogy. So I'm just excited. I think it's going to be great. September 21st. Oh, gosh, I can't wait. It's going to be so good. So let me know what you guys think of it down in the comments below, or you can @ me on Twitter. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe and smash the bell for alerts. For ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Airy.